Welcome back to my Fantasia Toy Box. I'm Professor Toybox, and I've got Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey with me, and that means it's time for our next episode of Toy Box Tutorials. A few weeks ago, in episode 44, I used 5 color pressure plates here to build a combination lock for the door to the main house over there. And in order to remove that magic barrier and gain entry to the house, the player needs the correct combination of colors. And today I'm going to finish building the puzzle that gives the player that combination. So far, I've built this rail slide maze out here that the player has to solve in order to reach 5 different floating islands. And today we're going to hook up a button on each one of those islands, and each button will give them one of the colors in the combination. And to communicate that color to the player, we're going to use some color changing blocks, and that's the topic for today's lesson. And you'll find those in the blocks drawer. If you open the drawer and go left, they're the 4 blocks that are right here. So you have some different shapes available, and you can use a logic connection to cause the block to change its color. I don't see color changing blocks used very much in toy boxes, but they can be quite useful. And so maybe this video will provide an example of what you can do with them. Now I'm going to place these blocks in this little slot over here on the tower. And I need to tweak the tower first, because when I built it, I only accounted for 4 blocks instead of 5. So I need to make a few adjustments here. So to make room for the 5th block, I'm going to slide that block out. And we'll slide this one out. And I'm going to delete that one. And this one will turn. And I'm going to put it on the front like that. And then for these blocks, I'm going to remove that one. And we'll push this one over here to the left. And we'll push another one over here on that side. And then I'm going to pick that block up and put it down, which brings me back to building sets group 6 into that drawer. And I'm going to scroll over and pick up this thin block. We're going to put one of these on the front, one on either side of that block in the front, so that opens the hole up. And then to close the hole on the back, we'll just put this block down like that. So now we've got that reconfigured, and now we can put our color changing blocks in there. So we'll come back down to the blocks drawer, and I'm going to use the basic square block. And we have 5 color pressure plates, so I'm going to put 5 of these blocks in here, just like that. Alright, before we build the puzzle, let's take a little closer look at these color changing blocks. So I'll open the logic menu for it. And you'll notice there's some logic connections. I'll get to those in a moment. You can also connect these blocks to a path, like you can for other blocks, so that can be useful. And there's one property, and it's the default color. And if I select that, there are actually 12 different colors available to choose from, so that is kind of nice. You have some good variety there. And if you connect up something, let's go ahead and I'm going to grab, let's see, I think I've already got a button out there, but let's put one down back here, and I can use this to kind of show you the logic connections that are available for this. We're going to have a button to hook up anyway, so I'm going to put one right down here, like this, and since we're right here, let's go ahead and put one out on each of the islands. So we'll put one down here. And I've already got one over there on that floating island. We need one on this island. And each of these buttons will end up changing one of those 5 color blocks. So 5 buttons, 5 blocks. That'll give us the 5 colors for the color pressure plates. And for this one, make sure this is centered up here. There we go. All right, so we got our 5 buttons. Now again, let's take a look at the logic connections for the block. So I'm going to come over to this button for an example, and we'll do a new logic connection when pressed. And I'm going to come up to the very first block, and we'll open the logic menu, and there's some different behaviors you can direct this toy to do. There's a restore, and if you select this, it will change the block back to its default color, which you can set under the properties. And then you have a trigger, or a behavior rather, for each of the 12 colors. So you can set this block to be any one of those 12 colors. And you can also set it to be a random color if you like. Now for our color pressure plate puzzle, the first color in the combination was green, so I'm going to set that to green. And so pushing this button back here will set that color to green. For the next island, let's go ahead and have this one do a new logic connection when pressed. And we'll come over here to block number 2 and open the menu. And the original puzzle had purple as the next color, so we'll look for purple. There we go. So that will change that block to purple. And this button out here, new logic connection when pressed. We're going to set the third block to blue. That was the next color in the combination. And then this button over here, new logic connection when pressed. We'll go to the fourth block. And we set that one to red. And then the last button over here on top of this tower, new logic connection when pressed. Go to the fifth and final block, and we're going to set that one to green. And so that will give the player the combination by pushing each of those buttons. And in order to do that, they've got to make their way through this rail slide maze. So that's our puzzle. Now, on the color changing block, as I mentioned, we do have some logic connections, so there's some trigger signals this will broadcast. I'm not going to hook up any in this toy box, but you can use these as you need to. So the first one is color changed, so it doesn't matter what color you change this block to. Any of those 12 colors, this color changed trigger signal will get broadcast. This one will only get changed if the color, or only get broadcast if the color is changed to red. That one only gets broadcast if the color is changed to green, and so on. And then there's also one at the bottom, so if you do set it to a random color, that will broadcast that trigger signal. And of course you can hook these up to any other toy that you want. And again, I'll cancel out of this because I don't need to use any of those logic connections in this case. I'm just directing these blocks to change color. And so let's go ahead and try this out. So as we come out of Spark mode over here, the default path through here will take us up over to that island. So we'll come through here and go up to the right. This takes us over to this little island. And then we come over and push the button. And you probably notice already there's one small problem. And that is that the player isn't going to actually see the blocks changing color if they're not in a position where they can see the block. And we'll address that here shortly. So as you can see, that one now has changed to purple. So that's good. That's exactly what we want. And Mickey will have to make his way now over to the other islands in order to be able to push those buttons. So now we have to make use of this block and figure out how to change this so that we can reach all of those other places. And that rotates that switch, so now we can get to that island. So once again, we ride the rail. This time we're going to go left. That gets us out up here. And then I can run through here and push the button. And running back through here. If we look back up to the top, now that one has changed to green. And so little by little, by pushing these buttons, once we've reached all 5 and pushed all 5, that will give us the combination to the color pressure plate puzzle that we built a few weeks ago. So that's really good. Now again, both of these buttons that I've pushed, Mickey's not in a position to be able to see what the buttons are actually doing. And it'd be kind of nice if the player, if we could show him what happens when they push the button. And for that, we're going to need to use a camera. So next week, I'm going to start a little mini-series of tutorials about cameras, kind of like I did with the Path Creator, and we're going to learn all about the different cameras that are available in Disney Infinity 3.0. So be sure to subscribe to my channel or follow me on my blog so you don't miss the next episode. For now, Mickey and I are signing off, and we'll see you next time.